Welcome back, everybody. I can't believe that I've been doing this for a month now. I can't believe I hit 50 subscribers in my first month, and I deeply appreciate everyone who has followed me and supported me up through this point. I'm really excited to share with all of you more of how I cook. I've gotten a lot of wonderful feedback so far, and I also appreciate that. One thing I've been very aware of is the audio quality has been a little lacking. I've been hesitant to film too much of me speaking in the kitchen, simply because the audio quality in there isn't nearly as good. I experimented with this a little bit more in my last video where I made a beef hash, which you can check out by clicking above. However, the shots of me talking in the kitchen had a noticeable drop in audio quality. So, to fix that, I went ahead and got myself a new mic. We'll see if it helps. Warning, strangulation hazard. That is a very big warning. Look at the size of this. Click, mic, and directions. I think it was Steve Jobs who once said that if the product has to have directions, then it's too complicated. Maybe I'll read them anyway. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Well, this is proving a lot more complicated than it looked, so I'll be back. And I'm back. Got the microphone mounted. This thing is a little trickier than you would think. And let's see what the difference is. Let's go ahead and switch microphones. And this is what it sounds like with the new mic. For those of you who follow my blog or other social media, you'll know that authenticity is one of the key things that I pride myself in. There is this enormous pressure on content producers. Speaking from my background in content production, we always want to work to make sure that we have the perfect shot, or we will practice something, or always be presentation ready, so that way there are no mistakes, and if anything happens, we edit them out. A lot of the times what you've seen in the past with Instagram pictures, for example, would be the finished product, what the final presentation looks like when it's all done and beautiful looking. I think that giving a perfectly rehearsed video would actually give the wrong impression of cooking. Cooking is not a perfect process, and it often involves messes and mistakes, and I want to bring all of you along to show that as well. So in the spirit of Pride Month and being authentic to yourself, over the next month I'm going to release a couple of videos that are going to be a first-time experiment. These will be things that I've never actually tried before, and I'm going to film the whole process and see what happens. So I hope that you'll come along for the ride with me. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of those. I'm excited to go in a new direction, but first, for today's video, 4 tools that changed the way that I cook. Let's roll that original introduction one last time. I'm on a journey to discover what goes into the food we eat, why it matters, and how we can use this knowledge to make our own cooking taste better. After being diagnosed with 17 food allergies, I'm determined to relearn how to cook, rethink how to eat, and reimagine what mealtime looks like. The first tool that has completely changed the way that I cook: my chef's knife. This is definitely the best knife that I have ever used. A chef's knife is generally considered the most important tool at our disposal. The particular knife that I have is a Japanese style blade. There are 2 different styles of knives that you'll frequently come across, Japanese and German style blades. And the key difference between the 2 is the angle that the point comes to. So on the very tip of the knife, a Japanese style blade will have a 15-degree angle, whereas a German blade will have a 30-degree angle. And the wider angle on a German blade makes them more durable, however, it also makes them less sharp. Japanese blades tend to be more sharp while being less durable. Having a really sharp knife is critical to basically all of the food prep that I do when cooking. I chop a lot of different things and cut up a lot of different things when I'm making dishes, and a sharp knife is a huge difference. The sharper knife makes it a lot safer because I'm less likely to cut myself, and the sharper knife also makes cutting a lot of things a lot faster. Now, the particular knife that I have will cost you around $150. This is definitely on the nicer end of knives, but I would recommend not skimping on a knife. A knife is such an important, critical tool. Even if you just have one really good knife and a couple of other ones laying around, that one really good knife is going to make a huge difference for your cooking. And of course, when you've chopped a lot of food, you have to have a place to put what you've just chopped, and that's where these little things come in handy. I recently got myself a set of these small metal bowls, and they have significantly changed the way that I cook. The particular bowls that I got are stainless steel. Now, plastic bowls will work as well as a cheaper alternative, although they tend to pick up smells and stains as you use them over time, and they can be really difficult to clean whenever you're cooking something particularly oily or greasy. I've noticed that these metal bowls hold up a lot better in those cases. These little bowls are perfect for putting all kinds of food in them. I don't have to worry about them getting hot or cold. I don't have to worry about breaking them. I don't have to worry about them getting scratched. The only downside, I guess, to the metal bowl is that it's not microwave safe, but that's not really the intent of these mixing bowls. Now, you'll see on the edges of my videos, I will frequently have a couple of these bowls lined up, because when you're chopping, you need a place to put all of the food that you just finished cutting up, because you're not necessarily going to use it right away. When I was cooking a couple of years ago, I would frequently come to ingredients where, oh, I need some onion chopped right now to add to this dish, and then I would panic because I didn't have an onion chopped and ready to go. I got a little bit better about chopping the onion ahead of time. I didn't really have a place to put it other than just sitting on the cutting board, and that's where these mixing bowls really help out a lot. There's nothing quite as nice at taking the stress off of cooking as having all of your ingredients ready to go and right in arm's reach so you can grab them when you need them. I will frequently put one ingredient in each of these bowls. I actually got a set of 4 of them for exactly that purpose. And that way, when I come to a point when I'm cooking a dish and I need to add in another ingredient, especially if it's time sensitive like pan frying, I can go ahead and grab the bowl and just dump it right in. As an added tip for these bowls, they're really useful to have an extra bowl to put all of your garbage into. So whenever you're cutting a fruit or a vegetable, you usually have pits or stems or ends that you need to throw away. This waste piles up on the edges of the cutting board and takes away the space that I have to cut. So it's nice to just have a place in reach where I can put all those items. The most common way that I make food is pan frying. And pan frying is exactly as it sounds, putting food into a pan and cooking it on the stove top. Now, I went out and got myself a set of pots and pans several years ago, and they are a pretty standard non-stick set, pretty basic for what you'd expect to find in a kitchen, and they served me really well. And I used to use these exclusively, although I found out there's actually a better way to cook certain dishes. This is my cast iron pan. And this is the third tool that has completely changed how I cook. I have a nice large cast iron pan. This is a 12-inch skillet. One of the things that I frequently hear about cast iron pans is a lot of misconceptions about how they're really difficult to take care of. And it's true, you can't just throw them in the sink and leave them sitting in a bunch of water and soap for a couple of days like you could a non-stick pan, but they're not actually that difficult to take care of. Really, the big thing with the cast iron is you need to make sure you don't use soap on it. But aside from that, you basically use it as you would any other pan. Now, this browning of food, called a Maillard reaction, is actually what gives the food a lot of its flavor, especially when you're making meats or vegetables. While the nonstick is great at stopping food from sticking to it, it also actually prevents this Maillard reaction from taking place, and you get a lot less browning naturally on your food. If you've ever wondered how I get some of the nice brown colors on the meats and things that I cook, it's simply from cooking it in a cast iron instead of a nonstick pan. Now, I'm not saying by any means to get rid of all your nonstick pans. Nonstick pans are still very useful, particularly when you're cooking eggs or certain types of desserts or even just pancakes. Cast iron, of course, will work for all those things, but you'll find the nonstick to be a little more useful and generally a lot easier in those cases, and you're not going to get a lot of benefit from using the cast iron. The one thing that I will say about nonstick pans is to make sure you get oven-safe pans. The set that I have is oven safe. It's completely made of metal with a silicone handle, and a really nice thing about oven safe pans is that you can take them from the stovetop and just stick them in the oven without having to move your food around. That opens up entirely new options for cooking that you wouldn't have otherwise. The one thing that I do plan on getting in the future to add to this is a full-on cast iron Dutch oven. Same concept as the cast iron, same benefits, only a Dutch oven is a lot deeper, so I can actually make things like stews in it that I have a difficult time making in this cast iron. And of course, I can always bring it out back and put some charcoal under it. And putting things in the oven brings us to the fifth tool that has changed the way that I cook: a meat thermometer. One of the things that you've probably noticed if you've cooked a lot with recipes before is they always include a temperature and cooking time. Something to understand about the way food cook is that food's doneness is determined by the temperature that the food itself reaches. We're probably most familiar with this if we're grilling or cooking meats. We always talk about a minimum internal temperature that food needs to reach in order for it to be cooked or safe. So whenever you come across a recipe that has a recommended cooking time on it and a recommended cooking temperature, that doesn't actually translate into how the food's going to be done directly. It's just a guess. Somebody has basically done the math for you and worked out if you have this much food and you stick it in an oven that is this temperature for this amount of time, that's about how long it'll take for the food that you have to reach the temperature that you need it to reach. Now this is very useful if you're just looking for a rough approximation or if you're just starting out. It can also be very inaccurate. There are actually a lot of things that you can do that will drastically change the cooking time of the food that you're working with. Some common examples include if you're baking a cake or let's say cornbread like I did a few weeks ago. If you pour the batter into a pan that is maybe a different shape or size, the batter might be thinner or thicker depending on how full that pan is. Additionally, even the color of the baking sheet that you're using if you're making cookies or roasting vegetables in your oven. If you use a bright silver baking sheet, it's going to get less hot than if you use a dark black or dark gray baking sheet. If you're working with meat or vegetables, how finely you chop everything up, the size of the chunks that you're actually cooking can also drastically affect the cooking time. So a lot of these things become variables that can change that recommended cooking time and temperature on the recipe without you realizing it, and can make the numbers they provide inaccurate. The nice thing about the meat thermometer is that it takes all of the guesswork out of it. The particular type of thermometer that I have is a leave-in probe. So you stick this end into the meat and you actually put it into the oven, and it's designed to stick in the meat while it's cooking the entire time. These types of thermometers are common for oven cooking and also for grilling, and it will tell you the temperature of what you're cooking in real time. Now, what's nice about this thermometer is it actually includes a wireless piece as well. And what's particularly nice about this is I will frequently be cooking while doing something else, especially if what I'm making takes longer. So I can go ahead, leave the meat thermometer in, and go away and be productive, play Xbox, and not have to worry about burning whatever I'm cooking. I can take this little wireless piece with me, and it will tell me what the temperature is of what I'm cooking. And those are the 4 tools that have made the biggest difference in how I cook: my chef knife, my mixing bowls, my cast iron pan, and my meat thermometer. If you have any particular tools that have helped you out in your own cooking experience, or if you're looking to buy any tools and have any questions about what you should be looking for, go ahead and leave a comment below and I would be happy to provide some advice. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss out all the cool videos and exploration that I have for Pride Month. This wraps up our first month, and I look forward to making more videos for you a long time into the future. See you next time.